everyone, it's Denise, and I thought I'd come to you guys with a little bit of a different kind of video today. I guess technically this would be my first vlog video, and it's just going to be on the subject of kind of me being a stay-at-home mom and how that came to be. This was requested by ddgladiva, and I thank you for that request. And she is also on YouTube if you guys want to check out her channel. She has some really nice video hauls and reveals, and I'll link her channel below. So please follow her if you're not already. And a couple of you in private message had contacted me kind of interested in this as well. So I'm going to start off before I give my story to say that I don't think being a stay-at-home mom is better than being a working mother. I'm not trying to persuade you to do one or the other, or to convince you that one is better than the other. This is just merely my story and how I came to be a stay-at-home mother. And I was not always, and it's just my point of view. It's certainly in no way trying to discredit or take anything away from working mothers, because my mother was a working mother. She still works. She had no choice. She could not be a stay-at-home mother, even though that's what she wanted to do. So I have great respect for working mothers. I think that's a very difficult thing to balance. So this is just my telling and my point of view. So when I met my husband, I was working full-time, of course. I had been working since I was 16, bought myself my first car. My parents taught us that if we wanted something, we had to work for it and earn it, and nothing was just given to you. So I did have that work ethic instilled in me from a very young age. My husband and I, of course, had known we wanted to have children, and we both wanted for me to be able to stay at home with our children whenever we were going to be blessed with them. And when I got the wonderful news that I was pregnant with my baby girl, we discussed it, what were we going to do? And we just said, ideally, we'd like for me to stay home, but we'll take the 6-week maternity leave and see how that works out with me not working. And if we're comfortable with doing that, I could continue at least for a year, year and a half to stay home with the baby before going back to work. And, you know, of course, if I had to go back to work, I'd go back to work. And my husband, he is many things, and there are many reasons why I love him so much. But one of them is his ambition and his drive. And when he puts his mind to something, he does it. And he was determined to have me be able to stay home with our babies. And he was going to make that happen for me. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, he was given a promotion. He earned a promotion, and it just so happened that that promotion was out of the state. And so we were going to move to Arizona. I was 7 months pregnant with my first baby, and we had just bought our first home. So that was a little bit of a difficult not obstacle, just life moment to go through for me. I knew in that moment, logically, I knew moving to Arizona was the right thing to do. I knew what my husband was doing for our family and what it would do for his career. Emotionally, it was a difficult decision for me to accept. I was very close to my family. You know, I was having my first baby. I wanted my mother there. I'm very close to my sister and my brother. So that was difficult for me. I had never lived anywhere else. I was born and raised where I had never been anywhere else. So that was scary to me. And I knew that I could refuse and tell my husband, no, I do not want to move. I would rather stay here, and we'll struggle if we have to. We'll figure something out. And he would have done it. He would have passed on that promotion, and we would have stayed here, and who knows what course our life would have taken if that's my decision that I would have made. But I knew as a wife, I could not do that. I knew what my husband was trying to do for us. He was trying to be a better provider, and he was trying to allow me to be able to stay home with our children. And I also knew that if I would have refused to move, a tiny seed of resentment would have planted and started growing. And I did not want that to happen. So I followed my husband. We moved to Arizona, and that was a lot of new all at one time for me. New state, new job for my husband, new home, new baby, and I also was not working anymore. And I had been working since I was 16. So that was a lot of new for me. And it was an adjustment. And I adjusted. We had a great life. I don't want to give the impression that we didn't. It was just a lot of adjusting for me. And having a new baby, being alone, in a new state, it was just the two of us and our baby. And we did visit family maybe once or twice a year. My parents would come visit, my brother and sister would come visit. So we did see family. But going from once or twice a year, from seeing them almost every weekend, that was a difficult thing. And they also missed seeing the children. I mean, that's a difficult thing, only seeing your granddaughter twice a year. I mean, we sent tons of pictures and videos and things like that, but it's not the same. And she missed out on having her grandparents around. So that was kind of hard. And when my daughter was 6 months old, I found out I was pregnant. I got the sweet surprise that I was pregnant with my son. And I knew instantly when I found out I was pregnant with him that it was a boy. I just knew it in my heart. Call it mother's intuition. I don't know. I knew I was pregnant with a boy. And that was also difficult for me. I mean, my daughter was 6 months old. I don't think my body had returned back to normal yet. Your hormones are still kind of out of whack. Plus your hormones being out of whack from just being pregnant anyway, and then chasing after a toddler. That was difficult for me. But we persevered. I mean, that was not anything we couldn't get over or get through. He was coming. And just to show you guys how wonderful of a relationship we have and how close I am with my sister, I needed her and she came to help me. My husband was working very, very long hours, and I just needed a little bit of help around the house, and once my son was born. And my sister, I mean, she had a life in Texas. She was working, she was going to school, she had her friends and all of that, but she basically put that on hold and came to live with us in Arizona for about 2.5 months. And she did that because I needed her, and she came to help her sister. When I asked her to come help me, she did not hesitate. And she can never know, and probably will never be able to understand what that meant to me. The fact that I needed her and she came to help me. And it was just wonderful to have family around me. And that was great. I didn't want her to leave, but she had to. But that was wonderful. And it was also a beautiful moment as sisters for us to be able to share, because she got to see my son actually be born. And she says he has a special place in her heart because she saw him enter this world. And I also think that that was the best form of birth control, because she saw him born and saw what a big deal and what I went through during my labor. So I'm sure my parents are thankful for that. But it was a wonderful time to have. And I remember once my son was born, I did get a great piece of advice from my OB-GYN. And she told me to rely on help, like when help is offered, to take it, because she said you can be great parents, but sometimes it is at the expense of your marriage. So don't let that happen. And I did not want that to happen. I love love my husband. But it is very easy to be wrapped up in your children, and you have to try not to let that happen. It is wonderful to be mommy and daddy. There's nothing greater. But it's also nice to be husband and wife. And your love for each other is what brought those babies into this world. And it has to be nurtured. So it was very difficult for my husband and I to have that husband and wife time in Arizona because it was just the two of us. And I always say that was a true test of our marriage because we were fairly, not newlyweds, but we had only been married 3 years when we moved there. And it was really just the two of us. And I said, that really proves we really like each other because it was the two of us for 7 years, only. 2 of us and our babies, and that's it. And I think in a situation that could tear some couples apart, it ended up bringing us closer together, and it strengthened our bond and our relationship with each other. And we had a tight, and we still, of course, have a tight family unit. So I don't regret any of that in Arizona. And like I said, we lived there for 7 years. The initial promotion that took us there, about 3.5 years into our time in Arizona, my husband got a pretty substantial second promotion, and we remained another 3.5 years. And he knew that I wanted to go home. I really, really wanted to move back to Texas. And that year, he told me, I'm taking us home. He said, I'm going to make that happen. It'll be within the year that we move home. And like I said, when he sets his mind to something, it happens. And we were able to not only move back to Texas, but to move back to our original city. And that I am very, very thankful for. And it was for an even better position. And, you know, where he is now, I know none of that would have been possible had we passed on that initial promotion years and years ago. And, you know, on Wednesday of this week, we are celebrating our 14th wedding anniversary. So I think that we have weathered some storms, but in the end, when you love someone and you support them and they feel that love and support, you guys can overcome anything. But I digress. That's more on my marriage than it is on me being a stay-at-home mom. Sorry about that. I love my man. But when we moved back to Texas, I had not planned on going back to work. And my friend, my very, very, very good friend, called me and said, we need someone for a few weeks. Are you interested in coming back to work? And my initial reaction was no, but I thought, well, you know, just for a few weeks, be kind of a change of pace for me. Let me just give it a try. And I did go back to work, and I did enjoy it. I was still very good at it, even after a 7-year break. And that was very refreshing. It is wonderful to be wife and mommy, but it was also nice to be Denise again. And going back to work allowed me to be Denise again. Kind of, it's nice. And to be valued as an, how am I trying to say? To be valued for your worth and your talent in a different way. That was very nice. But I did struggle and feel a little guilty and selfish that I was taking myself away from my children. And that is something I kind of struggled with over the next few years. And while I enjoyed going back to work, I just still had that something in the back of my head that I should be home. And, you know, my children's activities and their schedules, homework, all of that just got more and more demanding, and I felt so stressed. And I didn't like feeling that stress and making it like a rush in the morning with them. And it seemed like when I picked them up from after school care, I brought them home, we did homework, I was cooking at the same time they were doing homework, and then it was time to eat dinner, and then it was bath and bedtime. It just felt like it was just a whirlwind, and we had no time to be together kind of just as a family. Other than the weekends, of course, but it just felt like too much. And then it almost seemed like the perfect job and schedule came to me. And I was able to work. It was still basically a full-time schedule, but I was able to only work the hours when my children were in school. So I could take them to school every day, and I could pick them up from school every day. We had plenty of time to do homework and get them to their activities and have dinner and have family time. It was no rush. And then it was taken away. The office where I was working, that wonderful schedule, got busy. It grew and got busy. Well, busier, I should say. It was always busy since I started there, which is a great thing for the office. And the doctor valued me incredibly as an employee, and she said, we definitely would love for you to stay with us, but I need you to come back full time. And she did also offer me the practice manager position. And I really had to take some time to think about that, because I knew that was a bigger commitment of my time and my energy, and that was also a chance at an actual career, not just a job for me. And it of course came with a huge salary and bonus, but that really wasn't my deciding factor, because I'm very fortunate in the fact that my husband is a wonderful provider, and I have that choice that I can or can't. I choose to work or not to work. And I'm very, very, very lucky to have that choice. And I walked away from that offer. And I'm sure some of you who are, career women think, oh my goodness, how could she do that? But in that instant, I decided that I was going to take my time and my energy and invest it in my children, because I had the choice to do so. You only have them for such a little period of time, and these 10, 11 years have passed so quickly, and I want to enjoy that time that I have before they're too grown to let me have the same kind of time with them. I want to make memories with them. When they think back on their childhood and their school years, I want them to remember that mom was always there. And they understand that dad works, dad travels, and dad does come and support them as often as his schedule allows, and he is there quite a bit. So it's a big deal for them when dad is there. But mom is the constant. They expect mom to be there. I go every Friday and take them lunch at school, and that's our tradition. And the teachers know it, their friends know it, and they look forward to that. And that's something we've done since my son was in kindergarten. And I like that we've made those memories. Whenever they have a performance at school, or my daughter calls because she forgot something, I'm home and I'm there, that I can take care of that for her. And to me, being a great mother and wife for now is the most important thing for me. And anyone who knows me knows that my children and my husband are tops. I mean, that's number one on my list. Even when I did work, I had pictures of my kids and my husband all over my desk. I mean, that's just the way it was. And I don't regret walking away from that opportunity. I'm still on very good terms with the office that I used to work at, and she has expressed to me on more than one occasion that when I am ready to come back to work full-time and my children are a little bit older, that the door would be open for me. So I really appreciate that from her. It was a wonderful office, and had I been able to keep my part-time schedule, I would still be working there today. But I do not regret walking away from the offer that I was given. And with my husband's job, it's so demanding, and I just feel I want to be here to take care of them. And that's my decision and my choice that I made. I didn't feel like I had to. I was not forced to. My husband has always told me it's my decision, and he supports me either way. I value his opinion, and I ask for his input. But in the end, he says it's my decision. And I'm very thankful, and I'm very fortunate to have that. So I hope this was able to give you guys a little bit of insight on me on more of a personal level. And if you're interested in more topics like this, just message below, or you can contact me privately. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram as DLS Mommy, so you can private message me through Facebook as well. And I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to kind of give you a little bit of my story, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks. Bye.